Thank you,
Bakanal
Miro.
TV. We turn the whole place into a hot spot. Don't get we mad, Bakanal TV. Salute. Peace.
All right, we are live on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Bakanal TV in all of its forms. Apple TV, right here. Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, on your iPhone or on your Android. So you have no excuse to miss this amazing show. Welcome, welcome, welcome to From Bakanal to the Ballot Box. You already know. Bakanal is what we love. Bakanal is what we do. But when it comes time for the ballot box, we AWOL. So welcome to From Bakanal to the Ballot Box. This is a voter education empowerment series to get out the vote among our community. I'm not even going to say what our community is because you already know. And to help us get ready, energized, empowered, educated, ready to vote is my special guest tonight, Attorney Marlon Hill Esq. Is that right? His Highness, Your Grace, Mr. Marlon Hill. Welcome to Bakanal TV. How you doing, brother?
Pleasant good evening, Your Lordship. Having here, the CEO of Bacananology, Bacanalism, Bacanalitis. Thank you for having me on here on the program, courtesy and in partnership with the Institute of Caribbean Studies.
Yes.
For those of you who are joining us, as Craig said, online, all platforms of Bakanal TV, also streaming live on my Facebook page. I'm so glad to be here to kind of spread this news as we prepare to go from Bakanal to the ballot box. And we're going to walk through the sample ballot of the Florida presidential election, but you will learn a lot of lessons similar to the ballot from the state that you will be voting from, whether it's Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, or any of the other battleground states, or even the non-battleground. If you just get ready to vote, the information that I'm going to share tonight hopefully will be helpful to you as we preview the presidential general election that's coming up in November.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Marlon, you are make sure I get a certified voter protection advocate. Why do we need voter protection? That sounds weird and unsettling.
Well, like everything else in our society, it requires some law and order, and everyone has rights under the U.S. Constitution and under your state constitutions to protect your right to vote, which is a sacred right that you have as a U.S. citizen. Or if you are a citizen of every country, you have the right to vote. So billionaires have the right to vote in the same way as the young lady in the patty shop, or the young man at the security counter. That vote is the same currency as the person with $1 billion in their bank accounts. We want to make sure that every person recognizes the power that they have to exercise this right in order to determine who's going to lead their country, who's going to lead their state, who's going to lead their county, who's going to lead their city. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that if you believe that you are properly registered, Craig, and you're getting ready to vote, that someone will ensure that your rights are protected. So I've gone through the training of being at the polls to ensure that every person who's eligible has the right to vote, irrespective of their party affiliation, irrespective of their race, their religion, their background, or wherever they're from.
Wonderful, wonderful. Man, that's great. Thank you for doing that. You're doing God's work right there, brother. We know there's been some hanky-panky in the whole election process. And speaking of, nefarious and suspect voter activity, let's go to Florida, key battleground state. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on Florida? If I'm a Floridian and I just moved, which I might, how do I get registered to vote in Florida? And take me through engaging as a person of the Caribbean community?
Sure, man. Before I jump into that, it's very important. The only way that you can exercise your right to vote, whether you are living in Bridgetown as a U.S. citizen, or you're living in Bethesda, Maryland, or you're in Lauderhill, South Florida, or you are in Paterson, New Jersey, wherever you are as a U.S. citizen, right? You're 18 years old, you are a U.S. citizen, you have the right to register to vote. So I want to walk through some of the voter registration deadlines because it's fast approaching as we go from Bakanal to the ballot box. Time carnival approaching. Time carnival starts on October the 5th, and the deadline to register to vote here in Florida is October the 7th.
Wow.
And there are several voter registration deadlines across the country. If you could just show the viewers the deadlines to register to vote across the country. You're right. Nothing else matters if you're not in the lottery. Right? If you don't have a lottery ticket, you can't win the lottery. You can't exercise your right. So we have deadlines across the state, and I'm going to share with you right now the deadline, voter registration deadline, and our team here at Battleground TV. I'm not seeing the flyer, Craig,
hang on.
but here in the state of Florida, the deadline is October the 7th. And you need to check your status to make sure that you are registered to vote. And you need to make sure that wherever you are now living, your address, your current address, that you are registered there. You are studying away from home, you're on a college campus, you want to make sure that you are registered to vote. So if you're following us closely here in Florida, the deadline to register to vote is October the 7th. Right? You see that there in the top left. There you go. The top left online or by mail. It must be postmarked by October the 7th. If you live in Georgia, it's the same registration date. If you live in North Carolina, the registration date is October the 11th. So every state has their own election process and system. Right? This is very important thing to understand. Elections law in the United States is based on the law of that particular state. They have different rules and they set different guidelines. Right? So you have federal government, state government, county government, and city government.
Wow.
So you may live in a city. The city is within a county. The county is within the state, and the state is in the United States of America. Right? If you live in Pennsylvania, the deadline to register to vote is October 21st. So you see how it varies. Washington, D.C. is different from Alabama. Alabama is different from Delaware. So wherever you reside as a U.S. citizen, whether you are of Caribbean descent or not, it's very important that you understand what the rules are for your particular state. And what we're going to go through tonight, we're going to go through the Florida ballot. This same voting plan process. Craig, it's like getting ready for the marathon, right? Or getting ready to cook a Thanksgiving meal for the family, or you're getting ready for retirement. You can't just wake up and do these things. You have to plan it out. Right?
Yeah.
Right? When you are developing things as a software engineer, you don't just wake up and just code up something, right?
I do. I'm messing.
But you're brilliant, right?
Oh, stop. Go.
You're a brilliant Antigua, so you don't need to plan. But hey, other people need more time to plan and get ready. So what we're gonna do tonight, grab some tea, like they're doing in the Caribbean, Craig, about this time, some crackers or some some toast or something. And we're gonna go through the voting plan. And the first thing that you need to do is to register to vote. Right. And go to that. So you go to when we all vote.org. Then go to iwillvote.com. There's several websites that can help. You can go to vote.gov. Vote.gov. And it's a very simple one. Vote.gov. It's a very simple one. You can do it on your iPad. You can do it on your iPhone. You can do it on your laptop. Vote.gov.gov. Go to that website. Scroll down. You select your state. Click there. Right? You pick your state. Let's go to Florida. right? Click on that, right? Register to vote in Florida, scroll down, right? How do you register? And then you click on the start your registration online, update your registration up left, right there. Very easy. And that's going to take you to the elections website. There, and you start your application. Reason for application, new registration. Update your address, very important. You recently moved, right? Over 1 million people, Craig, were purged from the Florida voter roll.
What?
Because they didn't vote in previous elections. So you may think you're registered.
Oh. So they put out, they put out,
purged out.
Purge, I like that word.
Almost like you haven't been to a fucking while and you think you have your passes and you show up at the festival and it's, who are you? Right? So, and you just follow the prompts and register. It's that easy. You need to do that at October 7th for the state of Florida.
Well, let's level set. October, like, that's before Miami Carnival.
That's before Miami Carnival.
Oh, Lord. Listen, we buying our Juve package and thing, man. You can't, it's a sacrifice.
You know what? They should require showing your voter registration card to get into effect. That's what they should do. From Bakanal to the ballot box.
We should try that. Let's give it Gemini and Soka Vibe on. Figure out how to do that.
Soka Brainwash. You know, Citrus. One Fet.
Big Bad Breakfast Fet. Small Island Jam. Army Fet. All of them.
All of them require a voter registration card to get into it.
Wow. Okay.
That's our thought.
Yes. We'll see what we can do with that. But yes. Okay. So you got to have your ID.
Bakanal to the ballot
box.
Right. So I want to talk to you. So after you register, right, I want to talk a little bit about the number of voters in Florida. Every state has a certain number of voters, right? Florida has a every state has a certain number of electoral votes. 538 electoral votes total in the United States. In order to win the presidency of the United States, correct? Bakanal to the ballot box, you need to get to 270 to win. Right? Florida has 30 based on the number of congressional districts. I served as one of those electors in 2008 for former President Barack Obama. That's when Florida had 27 electoral votes. Florida now has 30 because the population of Florida has gone up.
Gotcha.
People from Maryland and New York are flocking to Florida for the tax breaks and those rich computer engineers.
Oh my gosh.
So look, you see the number of voters on your screen. I hope everybody can follow this. And if you have any questions, please drop any comments or in the chat as you watch this live right here on BakanalTV. We're going to get to some of your questions, right? We're going to go through the ballot in a second. Right now, Florida has 5.4 million registered Republicans, 4.6 registered Democrats million, and 3.5 million registered independents. Right? Total of 13.7 million registered voters in the state of Florida. And every state has a different number. The bottom line to win any election at the statewide level is that you're trying to do the math. The more voters, whoever had the popular vote for that state, right, you win the electoral votes for that state. That's how you get to 270. When you talk about battleground states, they're trying to fight over those electoral votes for those states. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, and I may even say Florida, because Florida has 30, way more than any of those states. So if you win Florida, which is the reason why they used to say Florida, but obviously Florida is now leaning, I would say, red-pink, but it's still very close to it. You've got the numbers, right? You're an engineer, you can do the math, right? If there's 70% turnout on one side, but 85% on another side, it could tip, right? You never know, right? But that's why Florida has always been very important. So now let me show you real quickly now the turnout for the previous years, right? So you're seeing the number of voters. We'll come back to that in a second. So let's talk a little bit about the turnout in Florida. So you kind of understand. Every 4 years is the presidential election, right, Craig? So
Yeah.
since 2000, you see that 70%. 2004, 74%. 2008, Barack Obama won state of Florida, 75%. 2012, Barack Obama won the re-election, 72%. Turnout went down. 2016, President Trump won versus Hillary Clinton, 75%. 2020, when Biden won, 77%. And we don't know what that number is going to be in 2024. I suspect, Craig, is going to be close to 2020, if not higher, 77, 78, 79, 80%. And that's for Florida. You could do the same by looking at your particular state you are from. If you're listening to us here on Bakanal TV, we're going to be focusing on Florida. Many of the things that I'm going to mention apply in terms of preparing your voting time. Also applies to you in other states other than Florida. So if you see the turnout, I think that in order to have an impact in any election, you need to be voting more than 80%.
Oh, 80%.
8 out of
So we
10
got
friends.
okay.
8. If you have 10 friends, 10 family members, if you're not voting at the 8 out of 10, you're not really saying anything in effect. You're not saying anything, right? So that's the turnout to kind of give you a sense. All right, so listen. Any questions in the chat? If we see any questions coming from anybody in the chat, we will dive straight into the brass tacks. So right now, I want you to understand what is on the ballot. Craig, most people do not vote because they're either not prepared, they're not informed, they're not confident. You usually don't take on a task or a job or a journey. You don't know where you're going because you don't have the information.
Right.
You must, this is not something that you can just wake up and do. You have to kind of put in some work as a U.S. citizen. And what we're going to try to do tonight is to preview sample ballot in Florida. You should do the same for the state that you're from. Most ballots, Craig, for those who live overseas have already left. Right? So this is the sample ballot for Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County, Craig, is one of 67 counties in the state of Florida. 67 counties. It's the largest, and it has about 1.5 million registered voters. 1.5 million registered voters, Craig. Out of that 13.5 that I told you, 13.5 total registered voters in Florida. Miami-Dade has the largest amount, 1.5 million. Right? So this is the sample ballot. You go to the Miami-Dade County Elections website. You can print it. You can understand exactly what's on the ballot. It's in English, Spanish, and Creole. Because we have large populations of those voters who speak that language. And by law in Miami-Dade County, the elections information is in those 3 languages. It may not be the case in the state that you are from, depending on the demographics. Miami-Dade County is in 3 languages. So let's walk through the ballot real quick, Craig, because I know that we have a lot of questions. What's on the ballot for the presidential election? Everything plus the oxtail and the gravy is on the ballot. Everything goes on the ballot for the presidential election. It's the highest turnout. So you're going to find at the top of the ballot, federal elections, and all the way down to the bottom of the ballot, you're going to have questions or propositions or issues. Go back up to the top there, Craig.
So they call these different things in different states. California will call them prop, this and prop. Same thing. Right. Okay.
So on the sample ballot, let's walk through what you're going to see on the sample ballot. In order to get your own sample ballot, my friends, here on Bakanal TV, what you need to do, you need to go to your county's elections website. Miami-Dade County, Google Miami-Dade County elections. Google Orange County elections. Right? Every county has a department that supervises the operations and the delivery of an election to the people of that county. Right? And in Miami-Dade County or throughout Florida, when you go to your supervisor of elections website, put in your name, right? You put in your date of birth or your street address, right? And it generates a sample ballot specifically for where you live.
What?
This sample ballot that you're looking at, Craig, is for everybody in the county. Right? It's not something specific to my address. You follow?
Gotcha.
Right?
Right.
So you have the president and vice president. Obviously, you see Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, right?
Yeah.
So after president, you're going to be voting for U.S. senator. Each state has two senators. We only have, for the state of Florida, it may be different for your state. Only one of the two U.S. senators is on the ballot. So you're voting for the U.S. senator.
They alternate, right?
You know how important that is, because in order to pass a bill for the United States that becomes law, including a budget or any law, it has to pass the Senate. This is going back to middle school, Craig, middle school social studies, right? The bill has to pass in the Senate, has to pass in the House, and the president could either sign the bill or
Veto.
president veto the bill, right? So majority Democrats have the majority right now in the U.S. Senate, while the Republicans have the majority in the House.
Right.
It makes it very difficult to pass laws that the country needs. Here's a point, Craig. What are the two main things? A prize goes to someone who answers this in the chat. What are the two main things that a government does that you give them the power to do as a voter?
Let me check the Instagram, see if anybody wants to take a whack.
What are the two main things that a government does, federal, state, county, or city, that you give them the power to do as a voter?
Can I go?
Okay, the back of the class.
You give them the right to pass laws,
Okay,
and you
that's
give them the
one.
right
All
to spend money.
Pass a budget. Tell you, man, you can't buy good students now.
Fire!
All right. So going down the sample ballot, you're going to be voting on congressional representatives. We talk about the U.S. Senator, then you Congress. Each congressional district represents about 600,000 people. So in a general election, whether you are registered Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, No Party, Bakanal Party, you get to vote for these representatives that are on the ballot. Right? Even though the two main parties, Republican and Democrat, you do have candidates that may make the ballot from other parties.
Let's see.
Right?
Several.
So there you have the congressional representatives. And then after you finish the congressional representatives, you're going to go to the state. So each state also has a governor, a state house, state senators. In order to pass a bill in the state, it has to pass the Senate, it has to pass the House, and the governor can either do what, Craig?
Approve or veto.
Approve or veto. Okay? And that has to do with laws and the budget, right? So state representatives, right?
Wow.
There you go, all the different state reps. So this is the full sample ballot that you're looking at for the state of Florida in Miami-Dade County.
Right.
The sample ballot for your county may be a little bit more specific to the candidates there. Go back up top. So after you finish voting for state representatives, then you're gonna go down. You see here, clerk of the court.
Where's that? On the left side or right side?
These are constitutional offices for Miami-Dade County. So your county may have a sheriff, it may have a property appraiser, it may have a supervisor of election. Going too fast. Go back up.
Okay.
Go back up. All right.
Where
Stop right there.
We're on the right side?
So you have to the right, right?
Oh, okay.
Constitutional offices, you have the sheriff, you have the property appraiser. If I had a little laser light that could point, you have property appraisal, you have the tax collector, supervisor of elections. These are all new constitutional offices that the voters of Miami-Dade County decided that they would like to vote for these constitutional offices for the first time, actually. Sheriff, tax collectors, supervisor of elections, and they're partisan races. So these are important.
Wow. Wait a second.
Supervisor of elections going to be elected. Tax collector, this person is very important. The name is self-explanatory. They're collecting your taxes and they're like the accountant, right? Property appraisal and the sheriff. Instead of having a police department, no, you're going to have an elected sheriff.
So the sheriff is a politician.
The sheriff is going to be a politician.
Oh, no, I don't like that. I don't know if I like that.
All right, scrolling down. After you vote for these constitutional offices, you have more work to do, Craig. On your ballot in the state of Florida here, it may be different for your state. You're going to be voting to the right there, to the top left, whether to vote yes or no to retain Supreme Court justices and District Court of Appeal justices, right? I don't recall ever in the history of the state of Florida where a justice was not retained. However, the voters retain the right if they believe a justice is not carrying out justice to not retain them to stay on the Supreme Court. You can vote no. Obviously, democracy will prevail, and the voters can decide that those judges are not conducting themselves in a manner in terms of the disposition of justice.
There's one name that comes to mind. There's a judge, last name I believe is Cannon, who they're asking questions. Is she on the ballot or is she out of cycle?
Scroll down and let me see here. We're still we're previewing. Yeah, she's out of cycle. Yeah, out of cycle. All right. Scroll back up after you finished voting on the state judges, Supreme Court, District Court of Appeal. There are county court judges and circuit court judges on the ballot. Those that were in a runoff, right? And then the ballot gets a little bit more local. County commissioners, school board members, right? Very important on the ballot. You may also see this on your ballot. Improvement districts, community development districts. And you say, Marlon, what are these things?
Please.
These districts are when folks decide on the local level that they want to improve certain things in their community. And they decide to self-assess their real estate. And then there's a board that manages that money. It could have to do with parks. It could have to do with security. It could have to do with lighting. There are many different reasons why a community may have a community development district or improvement district. And these are very specific. This is why it's so important for you to go to your supervisor of elections website, Craig, and to download the specific sample ballot to where you live.
Wow.
Got it?
Yeah, because at the bottom of the ballot, it becomes more and more local. And if you don't know, I don't know what idiom to use, but if you don't know left from right, then you don't know who to vote for.
And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
People forget about these important down ballot races, and it impacts you more than what may happen in the Oval Office.
That's true. Unfortunately.
Right?
Wow. Okay.
And so, any questions, Craig?
Yeah, so this is a lot to take in and a lot to keep. How can people keep this all straight in their heads so when they go from Bakanal to the ballot box and they're in the machine and they're filling out the thing, what can they do to really have that mental map? Okay, this is that person. What's the best way to strategize on that?
The best way to do that, Craig, is to download your sample ballot and to start doing your homework like we're doing now.
Okay.
Fill it out around the Sunday dinner before with the family and go through it. Ask questions, do your research. You look at what your local newspapers are saying. Contact your local community organization, your PTSA, your book club, your union. Find out what your other community members are saying that are in alignment with your issues, your values.
Right.
Who are they asking questions about? This is the time for you to do that, because the sample ballots are now ready for you to download and start getting prepared.
Oh boy, Brother Marlon.
Because there are three ways.
Yeah.
There are three ways you can vote, Craig.
Go.
You can vote by mail in most states, right? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. You can vote early voting, which usually starts 2 to 3 weeks before election day.
Okay.
And the third way you can vote is on election day, where you have to go to your assigned precinct.
Mm.
And the reason why you check your status and make sure that you're registered to vote by the deadline, because your registration card is going to tell you where you're supposed to go and vote.
Mhm.
And it also tells you who represents you on the school board, who represents you in the state, who represents you in Congress. All right. Let me see if I have my card here with me. Yeah, so here's my card, Craig.
Hold it up. Let's see.
See what it looks like. Can't see what it looks like.
No, I'll put up a sample if I can. But
Yeah, and it's folded. So it has my registration number. It has my precinct number. It has my congressional representative, my state Senate representative, my state house representative, my county commission representative, school board, community council. And it says that I live in unincorporated Miami-Dade, which means I don't live in a city, because we're going to talk about that. What you're not seeing on this sample ballot here, Craig, is that here in the state of Florida, various municipalities also have their local elections at this time.
oh, it's a lot to take in, man. But go ahead. This is why we're doing
Right.
it. Because
So what, do you have any family in any Florida cities?
I do. I have a family in Homestead, Florida.
Homestead.
Yes.
So Homestead is one of the cities that may have elections. So Miami-Dade has 34 cities. Broward County, Florida has 31 cities. And most of them have municipal elections on November the 5th.
Okay. Okay.
So you said to me, Marlon, how do I find out who's running for city council in my city? Great question from the back of the class. You need to go to the clerk of the city clerk. So let's say Google City of Homestead Clerk's Office. And then that is going to, let's go to a city that has an election, that has a number of Caribbean people. Let's go to Lauderhill City Clerk. Let's go to City of Lauderhill City Clerk. All right, we're going to do this in real time, everybody. If you're just joining us, we are here live on Bakanal TV. We're previewing the Florida sample ballot and trying to, in real time, go over the elections that are coming on November the 5th. So you go City Clerk, Lauderhill, right? And the City Clerk, and then you're going to go down, election information here, go back up. You sit to the left.
On the left side.
Election information, boom.
Yeah.
And then it's going to tell you the candidates. November the 5th, you see their open election seats. The mayor is up for election in Lauderhill, one of the cities with a high percentage of Caribbean people.
That's right.
That's where the Bakanal is going to be. Juve is going to be there. Panorama is going to be there. Kitty's Carnival is going to be there. Seat number 4, 3, 2, and 1. You click on current candidates. Man, I live in Lauderhill. I didn't know there's going to be an election. Shocker. Mayor, there are 2 candidates there. Seat number 4, 4 candidates there. Seat number 3, 3 candidates there. Seat number 2, 2 candidates there. Seat number 1, 4 candidates there.
Wow.
So that is also going to be a part of the sample ballot that I just went over.
My goodness.
A lot of work. Right?
Hey.
And every city that you may live in, Fort Lauderdale, Sunrise, Pompano Beach, Miami Gardens,
Pembroke.
you need to know who is running on a local level, because those people impact your daily lives.
Wow. Brother.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, any questions on the chat? It's a lot to take
Nothing
in.
Bakanal TV. Let's check Facebook. Instagram. Nothing yet.
All right.
One more here. No, keep on
Thanks
going.
Thanks for tuning in again. We are going over the Florida. We believe Florida is still a battleground state, but some people may disagree. The pundits on the national networks and the political analysts may not think it's in play, but I believe it's still in play. Because why? Because I live here. Why wouldn't I say it's not in play? All right, so let's go back to the ballot, Craig. There are some big constitutional amendments that are on the ballot.
Oh boy.
Heavy.
Break it down.
All right, so let me break it down. So, what are constitutional amendments? Constitutional amendments are typically initiated by a citizen group, a group of citizens, or it's initiated by the legislature. In order for an amendment, this is an amendment to the state constitution. This is important, Craig, because many people talk about the Constitution and they don't know that this is a real document that exists. You have the U.S. Constitution, you have the state constitution. Your county has a charter, which is like a constitution. Your city has a charter, which is like a constitution, that tells you how the country, the state, the county, or the city operates or conducts itself in terms of things that are rights,
the rights of the people
that apply to all citizens in that state.
Wow.
Right? So in every presidential election, you have ballot amendments. Some people call it propositions, referenda, whatever, constitutional amendments. And they want to make an amendment to the Constitution so that this applies in the state of Florida or the state of Georgia or the state of Maryland, and it applies to everyone. So there are 6 constitutional amendments that are on the ballot that you have to vote yes or no to.
Right.
Now, Craig, this is very important.
Oh.
In order for the constitutional amendment to pass, 60% of the voters must say yes. Otherwise, it fails.
Not 51.
Not 51.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Why? Because there was a constitutional amendment years back making it 60%.
A supermajority.
Supermajority in order for it to pass.
Okay.
So out of the 13 million registered Florida voters, the average turnout since 2000, if you're paying attention in the back of the class, was about what percent, Craig?
In 2000?
No, over the years.
Over the years. 70 something?
75, 73, 72, right? And so if 60% of the voters out of that, let's say 75% of the total number of voters turn out, then 60% of that turnout must say yes in order for the constitutional amendment to pass.
Wow.
Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So we have 6 constitutional amendments. So you said, Marlon, Mr. Hill, Professor Hill,
Your Grace.
how do I know what these ballots say? All right, so let's just read one just for sake of demonstration for the class, right? So constitutional amendment number 1 says an amendment to change the Constitution, to change Article 9, Section 4, and Article 12. What do they want to change? They want to make partisan election of members of school board districts, to make them partisan. So to change them from non-partisan to partisan.
What?
Now, you may ask yourself, well, why would they want to do that? This amendment, by the way, was initiated by the Republican legislature, because the legislature in the state of Florida, the majority in the House and the Senate is Republican. So they said, we want to make elections on school boards partisan, and to put it in the Constitution to make it from non-partisan to partisan. And you have to vote yes or no. Craig, you don't live in Florida.
I don't.
What does it say? What does this amendment say to you? That's reasonable, that's common sense.
They want to politicize the school board.
Huh?
They want to politicize the school board.
Do you think that is a good thing?
I don't. Personal opinion, no. That sounds like a very bad idea.
Vote no. You would vote no.
No, right.
All right. So that's just an example for constitutional amendment number 1. Right? There's 6 amendments. Marlon, where do I go to research these amendments? Let me show you one place that you can go. Our learned host from BakanalTV is going to bring up one of many resources that you can go to. You can go to Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia breaks down many amendments across the country that you can research that are on your state ballot or on your county ballot.
Oh, this is the one we have up already, right?
Yeah, we have that.
Right?
Right?
Lovely.
So You go to ballot media, there's number 1. So go back up, Craig. So you see Ballotpedia says Florida Amendment number 1. Partisan School Board Elections Amendment. It's on the ballot. It's a legislatively referred constitutional amendment, meaning that it was referred by the legislature. A yes vote supports making school board elections partisan beginning in November 26.
Yes.
A no vote opposes making school board elections partisan. You follow?
I love it.
And then this information here would explain who sponsored the ballot, explaining the language in the amendment. It's a great resource. And this is the reason why you have your sample ballot and you take your time, Craig. How do you prepare your voting plan? Download your sample ballot and take your time and ask questions and do your research.
My goodness. You know, I gotta just call the timeout here. For all our viewers back on TV, YouTube, Facebook, everything. This is real, right? It's some work. It's not just show up and vote for A or B. You really got to know what you're doing, and you want to take the time because this is really going to affect you, your property taxes, school board, your kids' education. You know, you got to put the work in. There's no other good way to say it, but you really got to put the work in. When people talk about getting engaged, you're getting engaged. So
it's like a fitness plan. You can't start a fitness plan eating Krispy Kreme.
That's the Bakanal plan.
It's not a paid public announcement, Krispy Kreme, but you can't do it. So let's go back.
Goodness.
Let's go to Florida Amendment number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right, this is 2 of 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Craig, they want to make an amendment to put in the Constitution permanently the right to hunt and fish.
Mm-hmm.
Now you ask yourself,
Need that?
why does that belong in the Constitution?
Mm.
It's already a law that you have the right to hunt and fish.
Break it down. That sounds something's in the works.
I don't know what's in the works, but if it's already law, why would you want to put it in the Constitution? You vote yes to establish a constitutional right to hunt and fish. You vote no if you oppose the constitutional right. You know, I leave it up to the voter. The voters are very smart people to understand what is really needed in the Constitution and what's not. But this is something this is a legislature-sponsored, again, amendment.
Okay.
You follow?
I got you.
Number 3.
Number 3, here we go. Oh,
right.
marijuana legalization. This is when they're going to sit up in their chair.
There was a constitutional amendment a couple of years ago,
Uh-huh.
Craig, for medical marijuana. And the voters voted for it. You scroll down. They voted for it. There you go. Medical marijuana was adopted by Florida voters in 2016 by a vote of
71. Wow, they like that one.
29. Scroll back up.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a ballot amendment number 3. 3 of 6. Marijuana legalization initiative. A yes vote supports legalizing marijuana for adults 21 years old and older and allowing individuals to possess up to 3 ounces of marijuana.
Mm.
A no vote opposes legalizing marijuana for adult use in Florida. Again, the amendment won't pass unless it's 60% or more.
So let's make sure we're not splitting. We're kind of splitting here. Medical marijuana was approved in 2016, but this is for general marijuana use.
Recreational, yes.
Recreational, up to 3 ounces.
Right. But there's some details that you need to pay attention to. Scroll down.
Oh boy.
When you go to Ballotpedia, you can find out who's supporting this and who's opposing it. You can find out, scroll back up. Right here you see Smart and Safe Florida. This is not a legislature-sponsored initiative.
This is a
Shocker. Right? Supporting the initiative.
It's a lobby
You
group.
see the money and you can read who's supporting it. You can see who's opposing it. Right?
Okay.
So rather than people getting arrested for nominal amounts of minor marijuana, this will legalize it. They have to go to licensed venues to purchase it, right? In terms of regulating it. And as voters in the state of Florida, you say, well, you have the power. This is what a vote is. You get to give the power to put the law into the Constitution, you are saying yes or you're saying no.
Gotcha.
60%.
60%. Need that. Okay.
Up or down.
Whew. Yes.
Or down.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Okay.
So ballotpedum. Number 4 is another very.
We got time for this one?
We do have time for this one. All of them are the same because they have to be voted on by 60%.
All right.
This is a citizen-initiated constitutional amendment, right? This one, it's probably the most controversial one, right? So you know that the state of Florida passed a law with regards to 6-week ban.
6-week ban.
And many people don't even know if they're pregnant at that time, right? But here, the citizen-initiated amendment, yes vote says supports adding the following language. And it's very important that you read in order to understand the ballot amendments, right? Sometimes you got to read it aloud, like you're in 5th grade and the teacher says, Craig, it's your time to read. So Craig, I want you to read the language which says yes vote. I want you to read it aloud and tell me if it makes any sense.
Listen, I gotta be honest. I have trouble with double negatives, and I can see a double negative already.
Right, so you got to read it aloud.
All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. A yes vote supports adding the following language to the Florida Constitution's Declaration of Rights. No law shall prohibit, penalize, delay, or restrict abortion before viability or when necessary to protect the patient's health, as determined by the patient's health care provider. Amendment 4 would maintain the current constitutional provision that permits a law requiring parents to be notified before a minor can receive an abortion. Ooh.
A no vote opposes that amendment to provide that the state cannot prohibit, penalize, delay, etc., etc. Right? So this is a very controversial one. It's discussed nationally in terms of the state's right to permit abortion or restrict abortion or to ban abortion, irrespective of rape or incest in some states, right? So this is a national conversation that's happening, not just in Florida, but across the country. So if you scroll down, Craig, obviously this amendment is not going to pass on the 60% supermajority, right? This is a citizen initiative. And how did it make it to the ballot? 8% of the total voters, Craig, had to sign a petition to put it on the ballot.
I see.
So they went out and secured signed petitions of 8% of the voters to put this on the ballot.
And now it's here.
Right, scroll down. So obviously you have people that are advocating for the ballot amendment, Floridians Protecting Freedom, scroll down. And then you have people that oppose the initiative as well, including the government. So this is 4 of the 6 amendments. Vote yes if you want to have a constitutional right to abortion to be put in the Constitution. Vote no if you don't think it's a good idea. But it reverts to the law that the legislature passed. The battle, Craig, is always about what should be law by virtue of through the legislature or what should be law in the Constitution. Ooh. Which one?
Yeah.
That's the battle, right?
Yeah.
Politics is all about trying to use the leverage, the wheels of democracy for the things that you care about, the values that you have. You may have one approach to solving one problem and another person may have another way of approaching the problem. That's politics. Just in the same way that you want to spend money at McDonald's and the wife wants to go to True Lux. Politics.
We lose every time, don't we?
All right. Ballot amendment number 5. Thank you for tuning in and walking through with us. We're going through the Florida sample ballot here. Amendment number 5. They want to have an annual inflation adjustment for homestead property tax exemption. Craig, this may fly over your head. Basically, you see there, Ballotpedia is explaining a yes vote supports an annual inflation adjustment to the amount of assessed value that is exempt from property taxation. Everybody gets a homestead tax exemption here on their property. What this is saying is that tax exemption amount should be adjusted based on annual inflation.
Not on property value?
The homestead tax exemption.
Okay.
You vote yes if you support that. You vote no if you oppose that. Not a very controversial one, but it's on one of the 5 amendments that the voters of Florida have to vote on. Right. Every voter in Florida votes on these amendments, Craig. Remember? It's almost like voting for U.S. Senator and President. Everybody votes on those races.
Right.
President, U.S. Senator, ballot amendments. Everybody in the state, 13.6 million people, however amounts turn out, vote on these things. The last one, 6 of 6.
Hang in there, people.
Hang in there.
Hang in there.
I know that. Pressure for people. Repeal of public financing for statewide campaigns amendment. Craig is saying, scratching his head, what is this about here in the state of Florida?
No idea.
Something. All right. So,
English, please.
English.
Caribbean English.
A law was passed for public financing of statewide campaigns previously.
Okay.
This is an amendment to repeal that.
Oh.
So the voters said, yeah, we want public finance for statewide campaigns. And no, this is a legislature-initiated amendment. You following the train of thought here now, Craig?
So they wanted it, now they don't want it. Is that how you go?
The voters said we want it.
Okay.
But no, the legislature said, no, we don't want it.
Okay.
A yes vote supports...
Make up your mind, please.
Yes vote supports repealing the state constitutional provision that provides for public financing of campaigns. And a no vote opposes the repeal. So they're using the constitutional amendment to repeal something that the people passed.
I got you. Yeah, there's some devil in the details, boy. I tell you what, they know how to just confuse people.
All right, so you can also use go to vote411.org. Vote411.org. That's another great website that you can do some research, folks. Vote411.org. Hang in there. You can get information on registering to vote, checking your registration, find out what's on your ballot.
Wow.
Great information here.
I wanna
voting guide. Great, put in your address and gives you all the races. This is a gem of a research website.
Goodness. Whew, I don't want to go into all that. Other people see what's going on.
This is a great website. Vote411.org.
Okay.
Can help you with that voting plan.
Right. Interesting.
All right. This is just a sample ballot for Broward County, right? Of the same for Miami-Dade County. The president, U.S. Senator, Congress. This is the full ballot for Broward County, Florida. It's the second largest county in the state of Florida, north of Miami-Dade County. It's part of South Florida. Scroll down. So these are the races that the Broward County residents are going to be voting on. State senator, state representative. But you have to download your specific ballot as to what applies to
where you live. Okay.
County commission. You see the justices there. County court, circuit court. You remember now, this is the full ballot. This is not a specific ballot to a person.
Oh, okay. This is the state.
Right? And then it's the entire, all the candidates.
Gotcha.
And then you see there, okay, Dania Beach has elections. Fort Lauderdale has elections. Hallandale Beach. And it goes forever and ever. Most of the cities in Broward County have elections on November the 5th.
So now your specific ballot in your little neck of the woods will have a subset. Of these candidates. Gotcha.
Right. So everybody will have president, U.S. Senator, Congress, state House, state Senate, right?
Yeah.
School board, county commissioners, the judges, constitutional offices,
sheriff,
Those sheriff, those are the constitutional offices.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the city elections, municipal elections, they call them.
Okay.
Then you have the ballot amendments.
Gotcha.
So the ballot is going to be about like 4 pages long, maybe 5, maybe 6,
Okay.
depending on where you live.
Gotcha.
You gotta put in some work before you vote by mail, before you vote early, or before you vote at your precinct. Let me talk a little bit about vote by mail, Craig, because a lot of people saying, "Oh, they say it's a lot of fraud and you know, I can't do it right." But vote by mail is a legitimate, secure way to vote as long as you follow the rules. Let's go back. Let's go to Miami-Dade. Let's Google at the top. Miami-Dade vote by mail. Let me just show you Miami-Dade vote by mail. Right. You must request your vote by mail ballot by October the 24th to receive it by mail.
Oh, you can't go pick it up?
You have to request it and it's mailed to you. That's the reason why they call it vote by mail.
Okay. Good to know.
They send it to you in the mail, and so you go down and you request your ballot now. So click on vote, request your ballot, and then all you have to do is go down and you proceed. Start putting in your information. You request a vote by mail for yourself, and you can request it for your spouse. Right? And you put in your last 4 digits of your house number, your social security, your driver's license. And then once that request is submitted, the ballot is going to come in the mail. Right?
Okay.
The same sample ballot that we reviewed at the top of the program at 8 o'clock. That's what's going to the actual paper ballot.
So
And you need
you have
to
to
fill it
request
in.
it by 21st?
Requested by you. Right?
By what
But
date?
the most important thing though, Craig, is that when you finish completing the ballot, when you complete it, here at least in the state of Florida, you don't put an X, you don't put a check mark, you gotta fill it in like back in school,
Number
the
2 pencil.
scantron with a pen.
Pen. Okay.
Pen
Pen. Black pen.
or blue pen. Black, you know.
Blue. Okay.
Okay, black pen is no. You fill it in, you put it in the envelope. This is very important now. You must sign the envelope. The reason why that's so important, Craig, vote by mail, your signature that you sign on the vote by mail ballot must match the signature that they have on file for you when you last registered.
Wow. Okay.
That's how they match that you are who you are. Right?
So
This is the vote by mail.
Right. So you sign
You need to put
the
a date.
envelope. You don't sign the ballot.
The ballot is not the ballot. The envelope that the ballot, holding the ballot. The postage is already paid for now.
Right.
Sign the ballot in the red box. You put a date, right? You put your contact information just in case something happens. They can contact you, and you can sign an affidavit to cure whatever that problem is. That's the vote by mail.
Okay.
It's very important for people that are busy, people who are traveling. You maybe have developmental disabilities. You may be a senior. You may be just busy and don't have the time. Vote by mail is a convenient way, one way to vote. If you're going to vote in person, early voting here in the state of Florida, Craig, you can vote at any early voting location. Let's say you live in Homestead, but you work in North Miami. You can go to an early voting location in North Miami where you're working, even though you live in Homestead,
And just drop it in.
and go and vote in person.
Oh, it's vote in person. Okay. Gotcha.
If you have a vote by mail, you can also go and drop it off at a Dropbox location. Right? That's the second way to vote. The third way to vote, which is very important, is you must go to your assigned precinct on election day, November the 5th. This is the day when everybody is going to be watching the results of this election. Who is going to get to 270 electoral votes November the 5th, less than 42 or 43 days. I lost count. It's next month, right? It's almost here. It's right after the Bakanal of Miami Carnival. you're gonna go straight into the into the polling booth with your powder and your paint and your oil. What's your favorite Juve adornment, Craig?
Paint.
Paint?
Paint. Yes, sir.
Okay. You're not a jab guy.
No. Oh, no. Never trying to jab.
Excellent.
Yes.
7 a.m. to 7 p.m. election day, you must go to your assigned precinct.
Oh.
So look on your voter registration card. It's going to tell you where your precinct is. Because if you haven't voted in a while and you're saying, wow, man, this election is very important, I need to vote this year, your district may have changed.
Or your precinct.
The precinct may have changed because the district was reapportioned based on the population.
Right.
And you may think that it's the church down the street, but they move it to the library across the town.
Ooh.
So you need to check your
That's
precinct.
a lot. There's a lot to keep up with, Marlon. But you know what? We're here. We're here to put in the work, right? We're here to put in the work. And I'll tell you a reason why, too. A little plug here. Obviously, we work with a lot of different festivals, commission around the U.S., even in the Caribbean, but specifically on the U.S. side. And they all are having the same kind of like budget crunch. They're like, man, we have to pay for the park, pay for the police, we have to pay for the street and all the different, and then we got to pay the artists. And they're like, we used to get support from the mayor and from the congressman, but because we don't vote, they don't give us these things for free. They don't sponsor the police. They don't sponsor the EMT.
That is such a great
point.
So
we're not helping ourselves, right? Let's help ourselves here.
You have to go to the budget hearings. You have to call your mayor and your council people. Let them know what's important to you. Listen, guys. Like Craig said, the two main things that government does: pass laws and they pass a budget. It's as the voter, you're giving the power to pass certain laws, and you're giving the power to pass certain allocations in the budget. If you don't have a say in what laws are being passed or what's in the budget, then how are you supposed to meet the needs of what's important to you? If it's carnival or education, healthcare, more trash cleanup pickups, is it recycling? Is it more police in your neighborhood? Is it more affordable housing? Who gets to determine how you spend your money? Why are we going to work so hard as nurses and police officers and startup technology, startup companies and family-owned companies and educators, and give our money to the federal government, the state government, the county government, and city government, and you don't have a say in what they do with it? Why would you want to do that? Right? So what we have talked about tonight, unless there are any questions in the chat, I'm sure folks may have questions after they rewatch this on Bakanal TV. We've now posted the deadlines that are coming up for you to register to vote. If you are 18 years old, you're a U.S. citizen, right? If you have family members that are U.S. citizens overseas, one thing we didn't talk about real quickly, Craig, was voting from overseas. There are over 6.5 million
You can do that?
U.S. citizens living, working, studying overseas, including hundreds of thousands in the Caribbean countries. They may have been born in Bethesda and left and went back to Antigua. They are a U.S. citizen, but they've never lived in the United States, but they have the right to vote still. As long as you're a U.S. citizen, you have the right to vote.
Now, when
right?
you do,
So you need to
mail-in,
you have to register.
yeah, but can you do a mail-in ballot from overseas? Because then that's
Absolutely.
a different, postage and what. Oh,
You request it. So go to votefromabroad.org.
Wow, this is good stuff.
Votefromabroad.org. If you have a U.S. citizen family member, this is a site that you can go to sort out requesting. But the only thing that you can vote on are the federal races.
Okay.
U.S. citizen living abroad, you can vote. Request your ballot. Start here.
Oh, wow.
Follow the prompts.
Current mailing address, country. Let's see where we
So
go.
what address do you use? You have to use the last address known that you used to live at,
Okay.
or where you were born, the
Right.
address for the hospital.
Right.
And
Okay.
your state is going to send it to you by email. They may send it to you by mail. Follow the rules of your state.
Interesting. So
Make
this
sense?
is your current address abroad. So if I'm in, I don't know, let's go
Whatever
Barbados.
country,
Yeah.
Barbados.
Okay. Wow. This is good stuff. I would not have known about any of these sites if we never had this conversation. So this is pretty good stuff.
Tens of thousands of U.S. citizens living, working,
Studying.
serving in the military overseas, and they have a right to choose the federal races: U.S. Senate, Congress, U.S. Senate, and President.
We're gonna put all these links in the caption when we post the video or repost the video. Do some
Yeah.
cleanup. But man,
So those are some of the general top line information
Yeah.
reviewing the Florida ballot. If you live in Georgia, North Carolina, or any other state, some of the rules apply the same. Just to kind of recap, the first thing that requires you need to be registered. It's the first thing that you need to do. Check your registration. Whenweallvote.org, iwillvote.com. There are many websites that you can go to. Justvote.com. Vote.gov. All of those sites lead to the same place. They lead to the same place, Craig, because you can only register in your state according to the state's rules.
wow. Yeah.
These sites are just promoting the fact that you should register to vote, but they all lead to the same place.
I love that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
After you registered, what do? Marlon, who am I voting for? You need to check out your sample ballot.
Gotta put the work in.
Put in the work, right? And then you start doing your research using some of the links right here that will be reposted on this site. And then hopefully the turnout in your family and your community will be more than 75%. We'll see on November the 5th at about maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. who will win the elections in your particular community, including for the United States of America.
I love it. Let's emphasize the point that we're trying to play this down the middle. Obviously, we have our own personal views. We have not, up until this point, in the last hour and 7 minutes, we have not said vote for A or vote for B. This is just empowering you as a voter to decide who you want to vote for and making sure you can vote and everything is clean, clear, no issues, no, ballots needed to be cured. You got to put it aside. We want to make sure you get in, do your business, and get out, right? So thank you, Marlon, for keeping it straight. You're playing it down the middle. Keep going. So that was Florida. That was a lot.
It's not even from the middle, it's from the top, right? So ultimately, you have to really go to different resources, the websites of the candidates. You have to filter what you're receiving in your WhatsApp messages, the memes and the links and the media sources that you're watching.
Yeah.
You have to go to the different organizations that you trust for information. At the end of the day, this idea of politics is not something that you should be afraid of, because we're dealing with the allocation of your power,
Yeah.
the distribution of your power, the utilization of your power. Right. So it's very important you have a say in who has it and how they're going to use it. Right? So do the research on the issues. Where do they stand on immigration? Where do they stand on the economy? Where do they stand on housing affordability? Where do they stand on healthcare access? Where do they stand on education? Where do they stand on the environment? There's so many things that could be important to you. So even though Craig said this is down the middle, we're saying to you that you have to determine that. Right? We can have a whole nother program to talk about specific races, and I think everybody knows what the most important race is on the ballot come on November the 5th. But I think that audiences and the voters are pretty smart and astute in looking at leadership style, temperament, background, experience, past history as to how they have led or not led on certain issues. What are they proposing to do in the future on certain issues, right? And you got to make a judgment on that. Yeah, I feel a particular way. If you go on my social media, it's clear exactly who I lean towards. But I think it's very important for those who may not necessarily be paying that close attention. This is the time for you to start dialing in before and after the Bakanal.
Before and after.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Before and after.
Yeah.
Because you remember now, Craig, Bakanal has some historical context,
Go through. Tell them.
Right? One of the reasons why the people raised the Bakanal because they wanted to exercise the freedom of expressing themselves rather than being oppressed. That's the reason why we have Juve.
Yeah. Free up.
Right? So Bakanal and Juve is almost like an expression at the ballot box.
Testify. Ooh.
Only it's in paint, powder, oil, a Junkanoo costume. Every country has a different version of the resistance to oppression. That's why you call it Bakanal, right?
And now we have to take that resistance from a physical jump up to actually exercising your right.
That's the mission.
Lovely, 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 man. Woo. All right, let's do a recap of everything we've learned. Key dates for Florida, October 7th.
Florida, October the 7th, registered to vote. Georgia, October the 7th. North Carolina,
11th.
October the 11th.
Yeah.
Check your state. You see it on the screen. Pennsylvania,
Okay,
October
Pennsylvania,
the 21st.
and 21.
Michigan, October the 21st.
Yep. Okay.
Texas, October the 7th.
Texas be like
Why don't
giving
we make
people
the registration
questions.
deadline like tonight?
The deadline is tonight.
Deadline is tonight.
Okay.
It's today.
I can dig it. I can dig
Right?
it. Why wait?
And then
Why
after
wait
you
until the
register,
end?
Why wait until the last minute?
I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
And then after you register to vote, we want you to start preparing. How do you prepare? You download your sample ballot by going to your supervisor of elections website and you download the sample ballot specific to where you have registered and where you live. If you're a college student, you may be away at school at Howard University, but you live in Fort Lauderdale, right? You can either register to vote in DC or keep your registration back in Fort Lauderdale and request your vote by mail and tell mom and dad or grandma to mail your ballot up to you in DC.
Lovely.
You can choose to do that.
Lovely. Lovely. Now tell us, how does the Hill residents prepare to vote? Are your kids of voting age, or like, what do you like sit with the family and fill it out?
We don't have kids. We're part of the extended family of uncles and aunts.
Oh, okay.
Without kids, part of the extended family that still have a voice. By the way, not only people with kids have a voice. I will put that put that over there in the inbox, right? So we vote by mail.
Okay.
Right. We have the sample ballot and we do prepare, and then we send it in by mail. We sign it. We date it. And then, Craig, you can track your vote by mail ballot like an express mail package online.
Yeah? How you do that?
You go online and see to make sure that they received it.
Okay.
And they processed it.
Okay. So what are the steps? What are the milestones? Received, processed, and then what? Counted, or that's the last stop of the trip?
The process is requested. You check online. You can see where they're sent it. When you receive it in the mail, then you have to turn it in. It has to be in their hands physically by November the 5th. And unfortunately, many people procrastinate and they have the vote by mail and they walk past it every morning on the kitchen counter. It's gathering dust. It's next to the flowers that's drying up. And they keep forgetting.
Not the flowers.
But it has to be physically delivered back in the hands of the elections department
by
by 7 p.m. before 7 p.m. on November the 5th.
Okay. So,
So
basically, you can't mail it
the
Monday
deadline
and
is
expect it to get there Tuesday.
no.
Oh,
Do
boy.
it as soon as possible.
Okay. Wow.
You don't want to vote by mail? Go to early voting. You have 2 to 3 weeks of early voting. Pick a day. Pick a location.
Oh,
Right?
so I think let's highlight that part because you mentioned that you can go to any precinct and vote. So that's for early voting.
Early voting.
Okay. Okay. But then when it's actual voting, you got to go to your precinct, stand up in the line, and do your business.
And as long as you're in the line by 6:59 p.m. and 59 seconds, no matter how long the line is, you should be allowed to vote.
Okay, lovely. I'm glad we got back to that part. Now let's talk about something else because some of these states, they vary. They have voter ID. Is that a thing in Florida? Is that a thing in Georgia, Pennsylvania? How you go?
When you're going to vote, please take a photo ID with a signature, driver's license, U.S. passport, military ID, state ID. There are various forms of ID that are acceptable to your state, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have one of those IDs, let's say for argument's sake, in the state of Florida, Craig, you can take 2 IDs, one with a photo and one with a signature. And those 2 IDs legally
Acceptable.
make one ID.
Ah, good to know.
So as a voter protection attorney, my job is to check to see if there's anyone being turned away
Oh.
from them saying that they have the right to vote. Do not leave the polling area if you legitimately believe you have the right to vote. You should complete what's known as a provisional ballot.
Ballot. Yeah.
And that will be sorted out by what's known as the canvassing board to verify that you are who you are indeed registered, you just didn't have the right ID, or you're not on the voter rolls for whatever reasons. They sort that out, and then they count you as part of the turnout.
Wonderful. So on election day or election night, are you actually at some of the polling places assisting people?
Yes,
Oh boy.
I'm actually on the inside watching, not getting in the way. I have a relationship with the clerk, and if I see a voter having an issue, I have to wait until they exit the polling area to go to them and show them my ID. I have a credential
Yeah.
that says my name is Marlon Hill. I am credentialed with the elections department as a voter protection attorney. I see that you seem to be having a problem. What is it? Is it an
Right.
ID issue? And then I try to help them to sort it out, to go back to clerk to have them request a provisional ballot until they can sort it out.
Got it. All right. Let's check one more time. No questions here. Well, so the next one is we got to get lined up with a Marlon Hill from Pennsylvania and I think we got Georgia. We got a few people in Georgia that are ready and willing and chomping at the bit. But if you're welcome to come back, help us out with Georgia as well, because I'm telling you, it's a little bit dry, a little bit, and some of the heavy nitty gritty stuff, but people understand the importance of this. So they want to know when we're going to do Georgia
The
next.
same rules apply to that particular state in terms of doing homework
Right.
on your ballot. Everything that we mentioned here today, we went over the Florida ballot
Yeah.
from top to bottom,
Yeah.
applies to every state,
Lovely.
right? The presidential election has everything on the ballot because it's a high turnout. People want to resolve issues in terms of what's happening in their city, what happens in their county, who's
Right.
leading the school board, who's leading the court system. Remember, we have 3 branches of government: executive, judicial, legislative.
Right.
And the general election is that time to kind of make sure who are we going to have leading us into 2025 and 2026. This is the time to do it. So what we mentioned tonight, the same rules apply, but it may be unique to your particular state as to who's on the ballot. You see what's coming in your mail. You see the ads on TV. You're getting the text messages, Craig, right? And it's your job to sort all of that out. Your job to sort all of that out using the resources that you have We're just so glad tonight that you could join us here on Bakanal TV. I want to thank the Institute of Caribbean Studies for their Soca the Vote initiative. And if you have any questions, drop us a DM.
Give us the socials.
Bakanal TV, social on Facebook or Instagram, and then Bakanal TV will get the question to me. The last thing I would say before we close, if you have any issues when you're at the polls, voter intimidation, someone challenging you, you feel like someone is impeding with your rights, I want you to go to 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Call that number. It's a hotline number, Craig. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can answer any question that you have. 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Or go to 866OurVote.org, I think it is. And it's a nonpartisan voter protection hotline that is dedicated to the voting civil rights of all Americans.
Wow.
1-866-OUR-VOTE. If you feel that somebody is getting in the way of you exercising your power to determine who's passing laws and who's passing the budget for your city, your county, your state, or country, you call that hotline number and we'll sort it out.
Wow. Wonderful. Man, this has been, you are just a wealth of information. You're helping us get acclimated to the reality. Voting is not a simple thing. It's not a quick thing. You do have to do some research. You have to put the work in. So at least now people are mentally aware, maybe not prepared, but at first day I got to be aware that, okay, I got to take some time, sit with the family and do this.
How do you get ready for a fete?
Woo! Start working out, man.
Start working out.
They got to have that beach body ready. Back off my shut.
Do you start drinking before you go to the fete?
Oh, no. Probably a little pre-party, a pre-game in the house. I can't say that. Some people do, so I heard.
Right, it's voting fitness, Bakanal fitness.
Yeah.
You don't just get up and just do carnival for a week, You will be in some real hurt.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Right? So listen, look forward to seeing you out for the carnival season. I'm not sure if you're going to be in South Florida for Miami Carnival. So big up.
Oh, come on, man. Is the Pope Catholic?
Mass.
Okay. We're going to be there. We in every fete.
Darling. Darling. We'll see you, darling. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions, just make sure that you drop us a DM on social media. We'll sort you out. But seriously, we want you to go from Bakanal to the ballot box. Informed and confident to make an impact in this election, wherever your interests and your values are aligned.
What's your socials? Give us real quick the Instagram and the Facebook and Twitter and all those things.
Yeah, so to reach out to me at Marlon Hill, I'm pretty. You really can find me in the fete anywhere. I can't hide. At
the VIP
Hill.
section. I seen you
at Marlon Hill, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Where else am I?
X.
Yeah, Marlon Hill. You can definitely find me. Send me a DM. You can on any of those platforms. If you have a question about this election or you're trying to find more information, irrespective of your party affiliation, but you get an idea of exactly why I'm supportive of one particular candidate. But we want you to have all the information that you need. And if you haven't been decided yet if you're going to vote, I really want to encourage you to think twice about not voting. And even though you have the right to do that, you are giving away that power to other people who are exercising that right, and you don't want to do that.
Non-vote is a vote.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Brother Marlon, thank you. This has been great. I learned a lot. Hope everybody else learned a lot. But yes, let's go from Bakanal to the ballot box. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll try to do the next one next Tuesday, but we got to get some things lined up for Georgia, and then we'll do Pennsylvania as well. So stay tuned to Bakanal TV, Instagram, Facebook, all the platforms. Just Bakanal. You can't miss it. Bakanal with a K. All right, and we'll tell you what's going on and when we have the next one coming. So thank you for tuning in. But the Marlon, go forth and be awesome. And let's get ready for Bakanal.
All right, my brother.
All right, take it easy.